and welcome to this tutorial. I am going to show you how to draw a male face in the manga style, and we're going to start with a front view, and this is a very basic tutorial. I'm going to make it as easy to follow as possible so that you can really get all the details of what goes into making this face and you can draw your own. For this series, we're basically just going to start with a circle. And this will make up the bulk of the head, and it doesn't really have to be a perfect circle, it just has to look roughly like a circle. So I'm going to erase what doesn't look like a circle here. And because it's a front view, we put the dividing line, the line that cuts the face in half, we put that down the middle of the face. So now that we have that, we need to look at the jawline and the chin and how that will be placed. Basically, we're going to put lines on the edges of the circles, tilting down and following its curve. This line will be basically laid against the edge of the circle, and whatever angle it's at, that's the angle it should be at to meet properly at the chin. And it depends on how old or how young you want your character to be, but we're going to put the chin somewhere in the middle of this. If it was a really young character, we would put the chin way up here, and if it was older, we would widen the face and put the chin down here, but I'm going for somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to erase these other lines, and then we have the basic shape of the head. Around the middle of the circle is where the top of the eyes will be. This might look like they're very low, but in manga, cute characters usually have very high foreheads so that they look even younger than they actually are, and to produce that effect, we put the eyes lower on the face. I'm going to actually polish this face shape a little bit, because I'm going for a different character design than one this young, but it really depends on the character you want, where you place the jawline and chin, and how wide you make the face. And from this, we will now put in the neck. I'm actually drawing an older character, a teenager, so his neck is going to be thicker than most really young characters whose necks would be about this thin. We want to show that he is more mature and stronger than the really young characters that have their necks so thin to match their age. And you could put the neck on the edges of the chin, and on the jawline, and I sometimes do that, but this time I want to go just a little bit thinner. And now I'm going to put in the shoulders, which are very wide. If you saw my other videos on this subject, you'll notice that I'm making the shoulders incredibly wide for this character, and that is because he's so much older than the other characters I drew for this series, the old version of this series. And their shoulders usually stop about here, just a little bit off their head, but his is going to stop way out here. Now let's look at placement of features on the face. Since we have established that this character is going to be a little older than the other characters I've drawn in this older series, I'm going to put his eyes a little higher up on the face. He's still going to have a rather high forehead, but it's going to be played down by the size of his eyes and the relation of the features on his face. They're not going to be so tightly packed and so small. It's going to be slightly more realistic. But before we do that, let's just put in the ears. Like before, the ears usually go around where the eyes go. So if the eyes are very low, the ears are very low, and some styles actually have the ears down by the neck, but I never really liked that, so I put them in a more realistic position up by the eyes. And to give them some detail, here's a very easy way. One line curving down from just a little below the top of the ear, and then in the middle of the ear you draw a half circle. And instantly we've got some pretty detailed ears. It actually looks like ears now. And now we can move on to the features of the face, the eyes and nose and mouth, and their placement. First I'm going to clean this up a little, just so that it doesn't look dirty and confusing. Okay, now what we're going to do is look at where we want the eyes to be. I'm going for a sort of Bishi character, so I'm going to have the eyes be sort of almond shaped. I think that's the term. Everybody's always saying almond shaped, but I can never actually tell that it's almond shaped, but I'm just going to say it right here. Almond shaped eyes, right there. And you can see the faint outlines of the bottom of the circle here. That's usually where his nose will go. Sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower, and below his nose is his mouth and lower lip, which you usually add in a slightly more realistic style like this. Now that we have that, let's put a little detail into these eyes. And here are the eyebrows. To make a stronger male character, have the eyebrows always angled down slightly. Not too much or he'll look angry, but just a slightly downward tilt to make him look determined and strong. And now for the nose, we're going to go for a very minimalistic effect on the nose here. We're just going to have a shallow V sort of thing and a line across it. You can actually put a line down from the eyebrows to contribute to the effect of the nose, but I'm not going to do that here. And for the mouth, we're actually going to split it into two pieces, because for a real mouth, we would have the mouth opening here and the lips here, because even men have lips. It just doesn't look good when you draw it. And the lower lip down here. And we will draw in the lower lip, but somehow we want to get the effect of the upper lip without making it look like he's wearing lipstick. And the way we do that is by putting a strip of blankness in the middle of his mouth. This indicates where the lips would be going in. So that's why that technique is used in so many drawings. And now I'm actually going to do his mouth. The mouth is sometimes tricky for me, but I'm a perfectionist about my character's expressions. So you can actually have him be having his mouth slightly open or frowning. It's totally up to you, but for this picture I'm just gonna see what mouth I like to go with his face. No! Baby, stop it! Okay, so in the end I opted for a rather wide mouth, and it looks sort of like a smile, just a little bit, and I like that. It's sort of a mysterious expression, and I'm just going to put a little more detail in the eyes. Stop that! Baby! My cat is trying to help me draw. I admit male characters usually don't have eyes this bright, so I'm going to make these highlights a little bit smaller, because the bigger the highlights, the brighter and cuter your character will look, and cute is just not the look we're going for with this guy. Then we're going to put in the eyelid, and this really is optional. Some styles don't do it, but I like to do it on my male characters. And now that we have the face, I'm going to put a little more detail in the neck. Male characters have an Adam's apple, and that is what makes these lines. Technically, if you're drawing super realistic characters, even women will have these lines, but not half as defined as male characters. So to really set your guys apart from your girls, this is what to put on their neck. And this continues down to the collarbone here, but we're not going to draw all that in. We're just going to stop at the shoulders. And the shoulders will tilt down from this angled line coming off the neck, and as you can see, the neck actually goes a little bit in front of this line. It keeps going, it doesn't just cut off with that, and that is because we want to show that his shoulders are pushed behind him, that he's standing up very straight and tall and strong. It's just little things like this that contribute to the overall effect of the drawing. I'm going to darken the lines of the face now. As you can see, his chin doesn't actually come to a sharp point. And some male characters do have it come up to a sharp point, but I like the effect it has when it just rounds a little bit here. It's more realistic, and I really like that. So now that we have that, let's give him a little hairstyle. Just something simple, a part in the middle and some hair in the back. So the hair for him will start around here when it's in this style. This indicates where the part is. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw long strands coming up and falling down over his eyes. And being pushed behind his eyes, back behind them so that they don't obscure his view completely. And these parts continue all the way to the top of his head, where they spike off and come to just straight, sharp points behind his head. Just down behind his neck. And on a normal human boy, this hair would be kind of long, but in manga it's just standard. That's how long their hair is. So yeah, manga tends to really promote long hair on guys, which is not a problem for me. I kind of like that look. It's very new and crazy looking, but whatever. So you just put in random spikes, and the trick of these spikes is that it's rounded, but it comes down to a sharp point. So just try to keep it slightly rounded as it comes down to this point. In the back, as you can see, we have these spikes nearly straight up and down, but that's because they are not styled, they just fell. This has been styled, so we have to put a lot of life in it. But yeah, speaking of light, I'm actually going to show you a few shading tricks in this video before I finish it up. So let's do this in time lapse and then I will show you. Okay, while I do have a detailed tutorial on shading the face, you can see it here, I did not go into detail about shading hair, so I'm going to do that in this video. And we're going to have some pretty standard lighting, just diffuse light from this side, and pretty much this is how shading the hair works. These spikes, since they curve down, part of them is obscured. You have to see it as 3D, and this part down here is curved lower than this part right here. So every one of the bottom of these spikes and underneath the part right here is going to be shaded in very dark. Okay guys, that is it for this video, and I hope this tutorial was helpful to you guys. This is actually a remake series because the original series I did of this, my camera wasn't so good and the drawings didn't turn out so well, so I'm just going to redo it so you guys get a better tutorial. And don't forget to check out my channel and to share this video because we want other people to see this tutorial. Maybe it'll help them with drawing. Leave your comments. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys, and I would really like it if you suggested tutorials for me to do so that I can know what sort of things you need to learn. So that's it, and I'll see you in my next video.